Welcome back to Journal Sunshine. I've got some exciting stuff to show you today. My name is Lauren, and for the last 6 months or so, I've been really into journaling with fountain pens and interesting inks. I've been journaling forever, but fountain pens are new to me, so today I'm going to be inking up a brand new fountain pen with a limited edition ink that I was really happy to find a bottle of. It's the Robert Oster Choc Pudding ink, which I recently learned about in an Instagram post by Ina Christina, who has a really lovely YouTube channel as well. Definitely check them out. In this video, however, I'm going to be doing some test swatches in my Swatch book. I'll write out a journaling page so you can see what it looks like in a paragraph format, and I will be sharing my thoughts on both the ink and the pen. I'm going to put this notebook aside for a minute. And speaking of the pen, it is this super beautiful and sparkly Benu Talisman in the Peacock Ore colorway. I'd had my eye on Benu pens for a while now, mostly because they're so unique and colorful, but I was really curious to see how it actually writes. And as you'll see, if you check them out online, there are so many to choose from. I kind of ended up in a vortex where I couldn't decide on one for a while. But this one spoke to me for whatever reason, and I finally ended up just buying it from Jet Pens. It's a cartridge converter style pen, and the converter did come with the pen, at least at the time when I purchased it. And you can see you just twist it all the way down, and that allows you to have the piston ready to go. So I am opening up this bottle of ink. Like I said, this was limited edition. It was really hard to find. Gold Spot ended up being the place that had it, and so I ordered the bottle from there. So happy that I got it because it's such a just unique ink color. I don't think there's really anything like it around. If you know of an ink color that's like this, let me know, because if I run out of this and there aren't any more bottles around to be found, I'm gonna be a little sad, I think. But as you can see here, I just put the pen directly into the bottle and I turned the little knob on the back to raise up the piston, pulled some of the ink into the little barrel there, and since it was the first time inking it up, I ended up pushing all the ink out and then filling it up again. And I made a bit of a mess, as you can see here, but that's kind of what happens. I believe you can also fill it by just filling up the converter itself and then inserting it into the pen, but then it takes a long time to come through the feed, and this is the way I ended up doing it this time around. I'm using a paper towel to wipe off the ink. This is the number one way that I get ink all over my hands, is either forgetting to clean it off and getting ink on my hands from where I dipped it into the bottle, or not paying attention to the paper towel. And so apologies in advance for all the brown ink on my hands for the rest of this video. I feel like that's part of the fun though. The mess is part of the fun with fountain pens, right? And then to put the rest of the pen back together, just screw on the back of the pen once it's all filled up like that. There we go. And the cap screws on as well on this particular pen, nice and secure. Hopefully that means that the ink will last a nice long time, even if it takes me a little while to get through all of it. And then before we get started swatching this ink, I just wanted to kind of turn the pen around and show you how my particular pen ended up with the different amounts of color and glitter. Since these are made with resin, I believe, each one is going to turn out a little bit different from the next, which is really lovely. This is the first time I've owned a pen that's quite like this, so I'm really excited to see how it actually writes. And here we go. This is the Chic Sparrow Emma Heritage pocket size. This is where I keep my swatch book at the moment. And the ink actually came with these little swatching cards, which I thought were really nice. They're gold foil, and so I did a test with a glass pen previously. This is the first time I've inked it up into a fountain pen, but this is kind of the first little test that I did when I received the ink in the mail. And so this is a Jet Pens Kanso Noto Tomoe River paper insert. It's field notes or pocket size, and I really like the way this paper handles fountain pen inks, so it made sense that this would be what I would actually swatch my inks with. And you can see here I have these really cool stamps that allow you to do a swatch and write in the brand and the color of the ink. Those are from Everyday Explorers Co. It's my favorite place to get clear acrylic photopolymer stamps, and so I started using this in my swatch book every time. So you can see right away with the cotton swab, the ink comes out very, very light. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of the magic lies. From all of the Instagram posts that I've seen and the swatches that I've seen other folks do, this ink layers and shades really beautifully, so I'm excited to see how it actually looks when I'm using it, especially with this particular pen. Okay, here we go. And you gotta love that anticlimactic waiting for the ink to come down through the feed for the first time. Usually it gets going after a bit, but we'll see how long it takes. And there we go. Patience, my friends. And it was just as wonderful as I thought it would be. Look at those light lights and dark darks. I immediately scribbled on top of the cotton swab area of the swatch just to see what that layering looks like, and oh man, I love it. This is the part where I just kind of scribble around and get the ink flowing. My go-to are like those little swirls and some stars, maybe a little heart. And so I'm gonna go ahead and write in the name of the brand, Robert Oster. Oh, I love this ink. I love it so much. It really does look like chocolate pudding. Oh, man. And if you know me, I love chocolate, so I'm gonna try real hard to not drink the ink or lick the paper. I always write what pen. Okay, great. Starting that over. I always write the name of the pen that I've inked it up into so that later I can try and use a different one, or if I really liked the way a particular pen worked with the ink, I can have that information written down as well. Sometimes I'll jot down my thoughts. If you want to see more of this swatch book, let me know, because I've got a bunch of interesting inks in here. Some that I have bottles of, some that are just samples I acquired, some that are written with fountain pens, others that are written with the glass dip pen instead, and just, yeah. Let me know if that's something you want to see. And so that's how the swatch turned out for this particular ink. I love it so far, but the main test of how much I like this ink and how much I like this pen will be actually journaling with it, and that is what I'm going to do next. One thing that I always wish people would include with their videos about different fountain pens and their swatches of the inks that they put into those pens is how it actually looks when written out in a full paragraph. I feel like you can't really tell what it's going to look like when you're writing in a journal with it without actually writing out a paragraph. And so I'm going to do that for you right here. I already started the page a little bit, and spoiler alert, I still love the ink. Something that I have a hard time describing exactly what this feels like, but I don't know if it's just the ink or the pen or the nib size. This is a medium nib pen. When I write with it, especially with the Tomoe River paper, I can actually see the ink flowing into the line that I just wrote, and so you can see like some parts of it turn out nice and light and some parts are darker, and you can actually, like in slow motion, see the shading happening in real time, and it's so satisfying. This is just something that I had never experienced with a pen before I started writing with fountain pens, and it's one of the things that I love about it the most. It makes it worth it to me to have to clean the pens and refill the pens and do all this maintenance on them, and so it's something that I am definitely excited about at the moment. I don't know if the novelty will ever wear off or if it will just be something that I'm excited about for life. But you can see here, I like to write in both cursive and print because with fountain pens, the cursive tends to shade less, so you get a lighter look. And then when you're writing with print and you pick up your pen off of the paper a lot more often, you get like shading per letter as opposed to per word. And so I like to do both, especially when I'm testing out a new pen and a new ink. And I really like the way this is turning out. You can also see I chose to pair it with some purple flower stickers here. They're actually washi flakes. And the reason why I did that is that I feel like I can see a little bit of like a purple or pink undertone in this particular brown ink. I was looking at other brown inks and trying to compare them and decide which to buy, and something about the cooler tone in this one just really spoke to me, at least for right now. And I think it's really unique, and I don't think that I've encountered another ink that looks like that. But it really does look like chocolate at the same time. It's very, very cool looking, and I don't know, I really like it. Now, as for the pen, the Benu Talisman, when I first started writing with it, I thought this is nice and smooth. I really like the line width that I'm getting with this particular medium nib. I like to write kind of small, and I also like to have a nice juicy nib, so it's a nice happy medium there. This is actually the Nanami Cafe notebook, and it has a 3.7 millimeter grid, which is very small, but I still like that I can get nice thick lines and still write really nice and small. It's a nice in-between size for me. It has just the tiniest little bit of feedback on the nice smooth paper, but the ink flows really, really nicely. At least this particular ink does. I'm interested to try it with other inks in the future. My only complaint with the Benu Talisman, just from my first day of using it, is with the shape of the pen itself. The place where it gets wider after the threads in the front of it presses right into the bone at the base of my thumb, which makes it not super comfortable after a few paragraphs of writing. Luckily, it's very pretty, and the writing experience has been great so far otherwise. So I guess we'll see how I feel about it once this converter's empty and I've had longer to think about it. Another thing that's great about Benu is that they have a lot of different shaped pen options, so I know that I could probably find another one that fits my hand shape a little bit better. However, it was a pretty expensive pen, so I'm not necessarily going to run out and buy another Benu pen really fast, but if I do end up buying another one, I'm definitely going to try a different shape to see if that fits my particular hand size a little bit better. It's a very particular thing. I know everybody has different things that they like because everybody's hand shape and size is different. So it's entirely possible that you could try this exact same pen and find that it's completely comfortable. Those are all of my thoughts so far on the Benu Talisman fountain pen with the Robert Oster Chocolate Pudding ink. I am definitely hoping to make more fountain pen and ink videos in the future, so if you want to see those, subscribe and click the notification bell to make sure you're notified when I upload a new one. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at LaurenFairWX, where I sometimes post photos of my fountain pens. In the comments below, tell me if you've tried using fountain pens before, and if you have, what is your favorite pen and ink combination? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.